Hey there friends, it's Liz from the Peacock Homestead, and in this week's video I'll be making an artisan cheese. So I'll be making an Edam cheese, and I'm also going to show you how I waxed it for the first time because I've never waxed a cheese before. And then I'll be cooking a few things from scratch. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, let's get into the video. I'm just feeding the girls this morning. I just wanted to show you my little ladies. This one is Tiana and the other one is Luna, the brown one with the blue eyes. But they're so excited to see me, they got the zoomies. Plus they needed some exercise, so it looks like they're getting kind of chunky. This week I made an Edam cheese. It originated in the Netherlands and they named it after specifically the town of Edam in North Holland. It's usually shaped in a big round ball and covered in some color of a wax. But I'm going to be actually waxing this in a natural wax because I'm just using what I got, but it will do the same job. And I got the recipe out of the 200 Easy Homemade Cheese Recipes. And that is one of my favorite books. And I also watch Jennifer over at Milk Slinger, and she had recently made the same cheese, so I was so excited to try this. So I got 4 gallons of milk at around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to add some calcium chloride to the mix. So I have 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water mixed with 3/4 teaspoon of calcium chloride. Just going to add that in and give it a good stir. And then my next culture that I was going to add is going to be a little bit of a mesophilic culture, and 1/2 teaspoon to be precise. And then I'm just going to add that, sprinkle it to the top so it can rehydrate. I like to wait 45 minutes and then stir. So that's what I'm going to do this time. So I'm just going to add it on there. It's going to reconstitute in 45 minutes and I will give it a stir. And then we can add our rennet, our animal rennet, to the mix. So this is still at 88 degrees. And now I'm just mixing up my mesophilic culture and my milk. And it has calcium chloride in it already. And now it is time to add the rennet. So for the rennet measurement, it's going to be 3/4 teaspoon, the same as the calcium chloride. And then that's just mixed in with a little bit of water, 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. And then now I'm just going to give that another stir. I'm going to cover it with the lid, and then usually if I wait 45 to 50 minutes, I have a really good set on my curd. So it's been about 50 minutes and I'm just going to jiggle the whole pan and see if it's ready. It looks pretty ready, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut the curd. I'll make some horizontal cuts and some vertical cuts on an angle, and then I'm just going to let that set for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and start slowly stirring and then bringing the temperature up. So with my experience of all the cheeses that I make so far, it usually takes about 60 minutes to actually cook the curd so it's boingy. And the way you can test if it's boingy is you can bounce it on your counter or just give it the little squeeze test. And you can squeeze a whole bunch of the curds in your hand, and if they're sticking together and then they crumble off easily off your finger, then they are ready to put in the press. So right here I'm just slowly stirring, and I'm going to bring the temperature up slowly for 30 minutes up to 99 degrees Fahrenheit. And I just wanted to show you, when you are slowly stirring, your cheese curds are going to kind of drop to the bottom and your whey will come right up to the top. And I like using my hand because I can feel if there is any clumps in there, and you want all of your curd the same shape and size when they go in the press. So now what I'm doing, I am taking the whey that's at the top of the pan, and I'm carefully not getting any of the curds into my measuring cup as I place it over to the other pan, and I'm just going to wash the curds. So I'm going to take some boiling water and see how much of the whey I took off. You can still see it touching the top of the curds there, and I have my whey over here. I'll probably be giving that to the chickens. And I'm taking boiling water and I'm pouring in there and I'm mixing in the hot water with the curds and I'm stirring that. I'm going to stir that for about 30 more minutes and then we will come back and do the squeeze test. So I want my whey and water mix to be about 122. So I'm just going to add a little bit more hot water and then I'll stir that for 30 minutes. And then we are coming back to do the squeeze test. It looks like it's knitted together really well. So I'm going to drain this. I'll show you the amount of curds and then we'll get this into the press. Edam cheese is usually placed in a round mold, but I'm just using what I got and improvising. I'm just going to make a humongous wheel of cheese. So I have my large mold here in my press, and I am just kind of squeezing all the curd together, getting it in there, because it's going to be pressed lightly for about... I usually press it on its first press for about a good hour, so it'll be around 15 to 20 pounds for about an hour. I'll be brining the cheese in a saturated brine when it's all pressed for about 20 hours because I'm going by 4 to 5 hours per pound, and this is going to be a 4-pound Edam cheese. I definitely love making cheese because it's so rewarding and you learn something new every time you make a new cheese. It's just so exciting. I just wish I had a bigger cheese cave. I think the next cheese that I want to make is either Gouda or Havarti, so I'll be thinking about that. All right, now it is time to take out the cheese. We'll see how well the curds knit together. This is the first flip, so it's going to look a little raggedy there. And we are going to flip it. It looks like it knit together pretty well. And then we'll just flip it and put it back in the press for a heavier pressure now. I'll probably end up pressing it at about 40 to 50 pounds for a good 5 to 6 hours. All right, this is going to be the second flip. So as expected, hopefully it's going to be knit together a little better now. So we'll check that. It looks really good, so I'm happy with that. Just going to flip it over and then get it back in the press. This time I'm going to be pressing it overnight because it is bedtime now. I've been working on this cheese all day, and finally I'm going to let it press in the press for about a good 80 pounds of pressure overnight, and then the last press will be all day, so I'll leave it in the press at about 80 pounds of pressure until supper time. So this is the next morning, and I am going to actually press this all day until supper time. And it looks like it's knitted together really well now. Hopefully the last time we'll be checking it, I will be putting it in the brine, letting it dry, and waxing it. Traditionally, Edam cheese was round and it had red wax over it. You can use black wax, and I'm pretty certain you can use natural wax. You just won't be able to see it very well. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I had some beeswax already, so I'm just going to be using the natural beeswax that I have. I use it in my lip balms and my healing salves, so I figure it would be perfectly safe for my cheese. It is finally time to take the Edam cheese out of the press. The last time and I was gonna get this into a brine. I usually go by the rule 4 to 5 hours per pound, and this is a 4-pound cheese. So I will be brining it in a saturated brine for about 20-ish hours. If I'm at work or something, I'll let it go a couple extra hours. It won't hurt a thing. So that looks really good. I'm super excited and I can't wait to wax this. But first, off to the brine. So this is going to go in a saturated brine. I'm just using a gallon of water, a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar, and calcium chloride. And I'm going to be adding 2 pounds of salt. So what I did was just heat up the solution on the stove for a few minutes, let it cool, and now I'm just adding the cheese. And I'm taking some of the same salt. I use canning salt, or you can use sea salt. And then I just add a little thin layer to the top so there is no mold growth or anything that can harm my cheese. So we let that brine for 10 hours on one side and then flip it, add the salt, and 10 hours on the other side. Because you're going for about 4 to 5 hours per pound. Since it says a 4-pound cheese, it took about 20 hours. So I'm just going to let this air dry for a few hours, and then we are finally going to wax it. There's so many steps to making some of these artisan cheeses. Sometimes it makes your head spin, but it is really rewarding in the end. Finally, it is time to wax the cheese. I was thinking about adding some beetroot powder to it, and then I rethought and said, well, that's why I'm making it completely natural, is because I don't want any color in it or anything, because I want it to be all natural. So I have my 100% organic beeswax in there. I got that nice and melted, and I was just going to go about dipping it on the top and the bottom, and then kind of rolling it in its side all the way to the side that is not waxed. We'll see how that works. And then I will do about 3 to 4 layers just to give it a nice coating, because it's going to be sitting in my cheese cave with all those other cheeses, and I want it to be nice and protected. I also wanted to try a bandage wrap cheese. So that is putting layers of your cheesecloth with an animal fat around it. So that would be interesting to try. And then I have to think of what cheeses I can bandage wrap. I think you can bandage wrap cheddar, and there's a bunch of different cheeses, but that's the only one I can think of right now. But that would be interesting to try as well. It looks like it is going really well. I'm just letting it air dry for a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and add 3 to 4 layers. And that is what the Edam cheese looks like all waxed. So it's a little bit translucent because it's 100% natural beeswax, but that is okay. It looks beautiful. And now it is time to put in my cheese cave. So I'm just going to let this age for about 2 to 3 months. And then when it is time to taste it, I can't wait to show you guys. This is my cheese cave. I have a few cheeses that I had made in there. I have some Cheshire. I also have some Monterey Jack and some Colby. I have some Swiss in there. And here is my Edam. So that's gonna age for about a good 2 to 3 months. That one's gonna be fun to cut, but I cannot wait to taste test it.
Oh, he's a good boy. Hi, honey. Hi. Oh, she's a good girl. Hello. Hello, honey, good girls. Hi.
This week I wanted to make something different for like a breakfast or a snack food, so I figured I had some pumpkin left over in my fridge and I was going to make some homemade pumpkin scones. So I have the recipe on my blog if you want to give it a try, and they turned out so wonderful. I rolled this out to about 8 inches diameter, and I'm just going to make 4 cuts, turn it, and then make 4 more cuts. So it has 8 little scones in there. And then I'm gonna preheat my oven 400 degrees, and we'll get this in the oven. And I cook these for about 20 minutes. Pumpkin and squash are so good for you. They're nutrient dense, they have vitamins and minerals in there. So every year I always end up with a bunch of apples and pumpkins seem to be a forgotten veg. So I noticed that there's a lot of pumpkins rotting on people's porches, and that could have been food to feed so many people. You can make squash soup, pumpkin soup. You can make crackers with it, desserts, and so many other recipes with this forgotten veg. Pumpkins and squash have such a long history of being used for food. The Native Americans domesticated squash, which became a staple of food and was often grown with corn and beans as a part of the Three Sisters agricultural system. And they were used for various purposes beyond food, such as dried shells for bowls and whatnot. So I thought that was very interesting, and it is a part of our history. The last thing that I wanted to share with you from my kitchen is I'm making some pizza dough. So this is just off my recipe, my universal dough recipe. And I did make this half white and half wheat. So these are going to be for pizzas. It's going to be pizza dough, and I'm going to make 1 pizza right now. And I'll put the other 2 doughs in the freezer for future use. So I'm just going to separate this into 3 doughs. And it's about 500-ish grams, each one of them. I try to kind of get it close, but these were super delicious, so I do recommend having it with wheat and white. And it tastes really delicious when you make bread with it or buns with it, and that's what I like to do with this recipe. So I'm just gonna kind of shape this pizza dough, and then I have a greased pan here. I use butter. And then I'm gonna get going on decorating this pizza. This is going to just be a regular pepperoni and mozzarella pizza. I had a little log of fresh mozzarella and some sliced pepperoni. And then for the sauce, I have some canned pizza sauce that I canned last year. And then I also have some spices that I wanted to add on the top. I have some herbs de Provence and a little bit of garlic powder for the crust. I'd have to say this is my hub's favorite flavor of pizza, and it is definitely mine as well, but I love having different things on it sometimes. Like I'll have roasted onions or caramelized onions, and then I'll have maybe a little bit of broccoli and ricotta cheese. That's one of my favorites, but I do love me a good pepperoni and cheese pizza. So I usually cook all of my homemade pizzas at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about a good 15 minutes just to get it nice and brown on the bottom. Because I've learned my lesson. If you cook it less, it'll be all soggy in the middle. So a good 15 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit is perfect. The pepperoni pizza turned out so delish. I had to go back for seconds, and so did the hubs. And that is all I have for you this week, friends. Here comes the snow. I hope you have a blessed week, and I'll see you on the next one.